All right, welcome back to Lane Switching. Today, I have a very special guest. We're at Viva Recording Studio. She masters, produces her own music, records her own music, and she even does performing arts. It's none other than Miss Mcleod. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me. Hey everyone, my name is Miss Mcleod.
So, just like every other interview, let's start from the beginning. Tell us a little bit about your early life.
So yeah, growing up, I remember like my first, your first memory whenever you like gain conscious as a child. Like mine was in the mosh pit of the Black Eyed Peas concert, and I just remember like the sub bass and everything, and I don't know, like it was just, I feel like it's kind of like the beginning of like a movie, where it's kind of like foreshadowing and everything. Yeah, and then growing up, I was always surrounded by music. My parents was always playing Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, Prince. We had a lot of Belle Biv DeVoe. The old school like 90s and early 2000s. I mean, like it was the 90s, like it was the 2000s, not the 90s. I'm not old enough to be from the 90s. But yeah, no, we had so much music playing around the house and so many CDs, bro, so many CDs. And my parents would always, take me to concerts and everything. I remember whenever Ariana Grande was going through like her cat ear phase, I went to three of her concerts from the same tour. Went to the one in Montreal, the one in Toronto, and then the one in Ottawa. So it was a bit of an obsession.
Wow.
And I remember during elementary school, I was going through a bit of a tough time, and I remember in English class, they're like, okay, like let's write in our journals. And I think this was like grade 3, so I started writing about how I felt, but then I started turning it into songs and everything, because I always had like a little, like a little earworm in my head, right? And yeah, I just started writing songs from there, and then I did this. Oh my gosh, I did this pop star camp where you got to record your song, and that was the first song that I recorded. And it was one of the songs that I wrote while I was in elementary school about like getting bullied and everything. And then from there, I was like, you know what? I realized how expensive this is. I started to feel bad for my mom, because my mom was paying like $250 per like studio session and everything.
Oh, wow.
So I decided to just start doing it all myself, and I started, I had like a basic comprehension of like piano and guitar and everything. And yeah, I started making my songs off of GarageBand, and it just snowballed from there.
That's sick. And
Yeah.
you were speaking about before, but it's like you definitely were, avid into going into the to the shows and stuff like that, but you yourself started performing live and at a pretty young age too.
Mm-hmm.
So what was the exact age? Like how young were you when you started performing live?
I think I was 7. Yes. Oh my gosh, there's a video on my YouTube. Oh my god, it's from so long. It's from so long ago, and it's kind of embarrassing. But it was from elementary school and the town that I was living at, because I grew up in Chelsea, Quebec.
Okay.
So the town that I was living in, they were doing the musical production Annie. My mom's like, oh my god, like you should be little orphan Annie. And I was like, you like musicals, like that's so cringe. Like I don't want to be a theater person, right? Anywho, so I auditioned for it, and I ended up getting the part of Annie. And I remember this first song. I think I was the one that was starting off the show, and they made me sing the song Maybe, and that was like my first ever performance, and like my first ever like taste of performing in front of an audience and everything. And I remember after that there were like so many words of encouragement, and it made me feel good. It made me feel good because it like one, like it made me realize that people actually enjoyed whenever I shared my voice and everything. And two, like I didn't feel as shy as I thought I would on stage. Like I got a bit of an adrenaline rush. So yeah, ever since then I kind of found opportunities and ways to perform with the help of my mom at that age. And then yeah, the older I got, I just started seeking them out more myself.
That's dope. That's sick. And I think you kind of said you weren't really into like performing arts when you were younger. Wasn't really your thing. What kind of flipped that switch where it became something you were more interested in, and you started taking it seriously and doing it more often?
Well, I became a bit of a workaholic for a bit. Like whenever I was old enough to get a job, I realized I did not like working at McDonald's. And then I realized, okay, well, what actually am I gonna do when I'm older? And the more that I started thinking about the options, I was like, I do really like performing on stage. and I did a few jobs like in like the performing arts field, and I realized like how much more I enjoyed that rather than, you know, sitting down and like being at a desk, or, you know, working like the trades and everything.
For
You know,
sure.
I really realized that this is what I want to do. I love making music, and it's not just me. Like I do it. But I do it for myself. I do it for myself and everything. But I realize how many people I've actually inspired. You know, I've done a bunch of shows for like kids and everything as well. And I've realized so many of them, like, that's a core memory of their childhood. Like, that's something that's gonna actually change their lives and form them, right? So being able to do that, get paid, and also inspire like somebody that is so like moldable and vulnerable and everything in a good way, like, I realized that's whenever I finally started to actually want to pursue it.
For sure, for sure. And I guess for somebody who's maybe at that point you were when you were a kid, not really into theater or not really into the performing arts, how would you convince them to come to one of your shows?
um oh my gosh, that's a really good question. Yeah, I would definitely put like some relevant things there and everything. I think kids really like that wow factor.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not, you know, I'm not gonna be pulling up acting like Ice Spice or like Sexy Red, you know.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
like their parents, you know, even though they're listening to that and everything, their parents are not gonna like that. And I think it's, you know, kids shouldn't be listening to like some vulgar stuff at that age. Like, that's adult music, that's old folk music, you know what I'm saying? So I'm definitely gonna, you know, keep the same beat and like the same style and everything, right? And make it entertaining. You know, kids like being entertained, right? So if you do, you can still do something cool, right? Have like a little dance combo and everything, and have like the good beat and the good lyrics. You know, kids like that kind of stuff, right? But yeah, just keeping them entertained and keeping it flashy and keeping it trendy, right? They all, whenever you're young, you want to fit in. That's like your main thing that you want to do, right? So if you do something that makes them feel like they fit in, then they're gonna be there.
For sure. And I think, you know, you're young, but if you were ever to down the line, given the chance to direct your own show, what do you think the story would be about?
Oh man, oh, oh my gosh. Okay, so wait, a show as in what? Like performance show or like musical theater? Like,
I mean, probably, I don't know, maybe a musical, maybe anything, any type of show.
okay, so for, oh my gosh, if I were to do a musical, I had this idea for a while actually, and I've been wanting to write it down, but it's I want it to be like this little girl, and she has a bunch of, how do I speed this up? Is this little girl, and she has like a bunch of like dolls and everything that represent like different parts of her, right? And different parts of who she wants to be, but like her parents and like society is telling her like she can't be this and everything, and she needs to, you know, act like a woman, and you know, be like conserved, right? And then she ends up, you know, getting like so fed up, and she wishes upon like a full moon that, you know, she doesn't want this and she doesn't want to do this, and then she goes to sleep, and she enters this dream realm of like, you know, cotton candy and popcorn and carousels and all of this stuff, and all of those characters end up coming to life throughout the journey. And she ends up, you know, throughout her journey meeting those characters, and they end up inspiring her and giving her the courage to actually be herself in the real world. And then something happens, and yeah, that's basically like the premise of it. I'm not gonna get into it, but like, I've been thinking about it for a hot minute.
That's sick, though. It's sick that you have the idea and just, you know, something in the works that maybe if that's an opportunity, that's something you can do. And I think if people haven't yet checked your music out, just recently you dropped an album. I think it was back in August.
Yeah.
So something about that project that is almost more of a 2000 early 2010s thing is you include skits. So why do you think now in 2024, why do you think that's less common to see skits?
Well, I feel like and it kind of sucks. I feel like a lot of people in the mainstream media that are trying to get their music out, like they're just trying to get their music out. You know, like they're just trying to make it trendy and everything. And skits are not trendy anymore. They kind of went out of style. Like, you know, back then you had Ludacris and Mace and all of them doing like skits on their albums and everything. But now like people are just focusing, you know, on the music, and now with social media too, people have lower attention span. Yeah. Nobody's gonna want to listen to a whole skit. You know, you listen to the Kanye album and everything, and he has skits on it. You think people that are scrolling and getting like that dopamine boost through 15 like second clips, you think they're gonna listen to like some guy talking for like a minute and 20 seconds like on an album? No, they're gonna want to listen to, you know, just the song and everything, and like what's actually gonna, I don't know how to say what's actually gonna catch your attention, because that's to different people, but like yeah, I guess what's actually gonna like catch your attention, what the main thing is, like they kind of just want you to cut to the point. But no, I added the skits because I don't know, I think it's funny.
Yeah.
I think it's funny. I think it tells the story and everything. It brings it along, and it's for like the people that want to be visual, right? Instead of just listening to the audio. And I feel like more people should be doing the skits. Like, can I swear?
Yeah.
Man, bro, fuck having that regular shit and everything, bro. You need to keep it unique, bro. You need to keep it unique. I feel like people just need to do themselves instead of like putting their standards to social media. You know?
Yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, if that's something you enjoy, it's actually funny. I think I had a guest on, I think it was in 2023, and they were kind of talking about that, bringing back the skits, and bringing back kind of that more 2000s, 90s vibe, whatever. I mean, again, it was pretty prevalent in hip hop.
Yeah.
You can see it in pop, but I mean, hip hop is definitely the genre for me that I saw it the most. And just speaking about more your music, and as I said in your intro, you produce, you mix and master all your music. Is that for all music across the board, or have you had help along with other projects and other, singles?
So whenever I first, that's a very good question. Whenever I first started off, I had, people like help. Like I used to go to the cave a lot. I think it's so funny. I used to go with my mom. I think whenever I was like 14 or like 13, and I'd get Sarju to add on to the beats, because I do like the shell of the beats. They weren't that good, and then I'd get him to add on to it and mix it and master it, and that's where I used to record my stuff. I'd also, like, my mom would also help me find beats online and everything. I'd also find beats like off of YouTube, and then I also yeah, it was mainly the cave that I was at. I also was at like BPM Studio and everything. Cool. I came to Viva for a bit to help them, for them to help me. Sorry, for them to help me, not to help them. Girl, what the hell am I gonna help them with? No, for them to help me mix and master like some of my songs and everything, because I wanted them to be like radio ready. And then I realized, like, shoot, bro. What does that even mean in the first place, man? Like, anywho, I ended up getting like super picky and everything with the things that I wanted, because I liked it and it was good, and a lot of people said it was very good and everything, but it wasn't exactly my vision, and I didn't know how to tell them that I wanted my vision. So I ended up doing things myself. And then so my second previous album, Sugarcane, all of that is also mixed and mastered by me, except for the song Last Night. So somebody, his name is Callum, I think it's Callum. I'm so bad with pronouncing names, man. Callum, he reached out to me and he said, oh, like, I have some beats and everything. We ended up getting in touch somehow, and he said, I have some beats for you. And so the beat for Last Night is the one that he ended up hooking me up with. And it was so fire. And I think that was my first song that ended up getting on a Spotify playlist. So shout out to Callum. Thank you for that beat, man. And yeah, that's basically what's up.
For sure. And now that kind of you have that, like, a lot more experience producing, is there something more that you enjoy, at least that you enjoy more about producing than recording?
Oh, bro, I just the creative freedom. I love the creative freedom, because I can get exactly what I want. Because normally what I do whenever I have an idea is I just take my phone and I record myself like singing it, or like singing like, the drum line, the drum pattern or something. I have, like, whenever I was doing Self-Obsessed, like, I have so many videos of me doing and then I would look back at it, because I have the memory of a fly and I forget what I do, and I listen to it while I'm on Logic, and I'm like searching for like the sounds that sound close to, like, a right. That's basically what I would do. And a lot of the times I would also listen to like other songs and everything, for references of, oh, like, how did they make this specific noise? Oh, they just added a bunch of echo and reverb and changed the EQ.
Yeah, that's very cool. When it comes to limitations, life, music, whatever, it seems like you don't allow any limitations when it comes to getting your music out and making your music. It doesn't seem like you allow that when it comes to you creating. When do you feel like sometimes you have to put limitations on yourself just so you don't stretch yourself, like, creatively, you don't stretch yourself then?
I would definitely say, because I have so many unreleased songs. I have so many unreleased songs that are unfinished, because I normally just start something and I don't finish it because I just want to get the idea out there. So I think definitely like the limitations are with like, you know, writing and producing. Just because it gets really muddy. I have so much stuff, it gets muddy. I lose the idea, I lose like my focus and everything. So I have to put like limits on, you know, how much I actually produce and going back and actually finishing what I need to do. But yeah, that's basically it. I feel like whenever you're doing your art, you know, something you're so passionate about and something you want to be successful in too, right? Like if I didn't if I didn't care about it, if I didn't care about my music and my vision, like shoot, I wouldn't have bought a car for like my new music video, you know. So it's really like I think anything is like possible if you put your mind to it. But yeah, I think that would be like the only limit is that I get a bit overwhelmed with like how much I start but I don't finish.
Yeah, that's fair. And when it comes to writing your music, do you feel like there's any subject matter that's off limits, or whatever's on your mind, you're just gonna write it? Maybe it'll come out, maybe it won't.
I don't think anything is off limits. I really just write down anything. I write down anything and then I decide, okay, well, I can't release this. Like it's getting too much into depth here. We're cussing too many people out. There was a song, oh my gosh, there was a song that I wrote about someone, and it was like it was a diss track, and it was probably so fire. I remember rapping it for my friends. My friends like, damn, like what's this about? Like why are y'all cussing this person out? And I was like, man, like shoot, like only if you knew, you know. And some of my friends did know like what was actually up with that, and I wanted to release it, and then I was like, no, like I have to think about my target audience. Like who's my target audience? You know, I don't want a lot of people to hear me being overly vulgar on a track and, you know, saying a bunch of things that could be, you know, offensive to, you know, some other people and everything if they went through the same situation this person went through. So it's like that's a little something that I'll write down anything, but I won't release anything.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. And when we talk about, you've done, you know, many live performances and you've had many different experiences that you've gotten through your music. What do you think was the most memorable one to date?
Oh, OMG. I have two. The first one is whenever I performed at the Apollo in New York. Oh man, it was so memorable because I was still in high school at that time.
That's crazy.
And I remember telling people, sorry, I can't be in class today. I have to be in New York. And they'd be like, oh, what are you in New York for? I'm performing at the Apollo Theater. They're like, oh wow, like in where? Like in New York. And it's funny because whenever I tell people, like, they still don't believe me. I'm like, you don't have to believe me. Shoot, you can believe that I'm lying about this whole thing, you know. But as long as I believe myself, then that's mainly like what I care about. But definitely the Apollo Theater, because it was, bro, it's just such an iconic place for music and for, like, you know, civil rights history and everything too. There's so much background to that as well. So yeah, definitely the Apollo. But I think also this year recently, whenever I performed on TV, and I got to, you know, shout out like my album release party and everything. I think that was, and I performed Self Obsessed, and it was like an interview with Mike and Stephon Keys, and it was just that I think was that hit home, you know, because it was like, it was my actual music that I got to talk about, my actual event that, you know, I put in like backbreaking work into it, and they were able to give me a platform to share my stuff. So that's definitely one of them. Yeah,
that's awesome. And I guess, you know, not memorable, but maybe it was memorable for better or for worse. But what do you think was the most random experience you've gotten through music?
Oh, no. Okay. Oh my God, this was so funny. Okay. So I remember getting a DM on Instagram like a hot minute ago. Like I think I was like 16. And it was this group, this band called Mecca of Stank. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, this music is so gas." And they asked me, "Oh, do you want to be on the remix of one of our songs?" I was like, "Wait a minute, like you're asking me, like, girl, like your sound is so good, like I don't know, shoot, like, hey, you know what, like might as well, right?" And we went to the recording the producer's house and everything, and one of the members, Mark from Mecca of Stank, he was there, and I pulled up with my mom and everything, and yeah, it was just, I don't know, like it was just so random because it was a random like Tuesday afternoon. Tuesday evening, because it was after school. And they're like, okay, like I want you to do this, I want you to sing this and everything. I was like, I don't know, like, and at the time I wasn't into that kind of music, like I wasn't into it was like funk music and everything, and like alternative. Like I wasn't really into it. So I was like, oh, like this is interesting and everything. And it felt so random because it was my first feature too. It was my first time somebody asked me to be on a song, right? And I never understood the process, and like what the outcome was gonna be. Like I didn't think I don't know. I didn't really think much of it. I was like, wow, like this is really fun. Like I don't know. Like I was kind of confused at everything with the whole process. Anywho, I'm looking back at it now, bro. That was the best experience. It was so random, but it was like the best experience, because it was like if I didn't answer that DM, like shoot, like I wouldn't have been able to be on the feature. And so that was a great experience. And yeah, I'm performing with them live tomorrow too. So
very cool.
Yeah, so
that's sick.
It just snowballed from there, which is great.
Yeah, that's
and their music is fire too.
Yeah. So for people, I guess no, this will probably come out after.
Yeah.
After it's out, yeah. Like, oh, you get tickets, but no. I guess one last question is just something more about the ups and downs of musician. Have you ever felt with your music? Have you ever felt self-doubt, and how did you overcome that?
Oh man, there were a lot of times where I felt self-doubt. There were a few times actually that I thought I didn't really want to do music anymore. LOL. Sorry guys, I'm not quitting though. I'm not quitting. Just I think I got like a bit overwhelmed and everything, and because I was comparing myself. And that's the one thing that you shouldn't do, is compare yourself to other people, and I think it's definitely because of social media, because of the fact that I'm always, scrolling on my reels and everything, and I see other 19-year-olds and other really young people, going on tour, performing in New York and doing all of these great things. I'm like, well, why can't I do that, right? And then I have to remember, well, one, they probably grew up in New York City. They some, like, a lot of them, they grew up in those towns that are heavily influenced by music, right? Or two, their parents are in the industry, their family's in the industry, their friends are in the industry. It's always the connections. I have to remember, like me, like I'm building this from the bottom up. My parents don't know anybody who's in this industry. The more that I've done this, like I've started to make connections with people in the industry, but I think I need to stop comparing myself. And I got over it by, realizing like I have so many things that I'm so blessed for. Sure. I have so many things I'm so blessed for, and I should be really grateful for all of the opportunities that I've had, all of the opportunities that I've gotten. And there are like a lot of people that believe in me, and I wouldn't want to let them down by being sad over myself and everything, that I'm not good enough, whenever clearly I am. I think I'm good enough, and I think that's what a lot of people need to realize too, is that you are good enough. Stop comparing yourself to other people. Please stop comparing yourself to other people. Like, once you start comparing yourself to other people, you start to lose doubt in yourself, and I realize you start to lose the vision. Yeah. You start to lose the vision.
Yeah, no, and again, it's like you look at that stuff on social media, and there may be somebody who seems, twice as successful than you. Mm-hmm. But there's also someone who seems twice less successful than you.
Yeah.
So as much as you feel like you're in a space where it's like, I'm not there yet. Mm-hmm. If you keep going, if it's something and if it's your vision, mm-hmm. then your finish line or your outcome of whatever you're creating, it's mm-hmm. going to be original. It's going to be your own.
Exactly.
You can't compare where, the finish line, and there's no real finish line. You just got to keep going.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it, bro. That's exactly it.
And we'll see, and we'll see what you got going for in the future, just mm-hmm. for you, for the people, so they can know where to come see you perform or whatever. Mm-hmm. What do you have planned for the future? Oh man,
I have a lot planned for the future. We have a special music video coming out. I did mention the fact that I bought a car for it. And I have some more performances coming up. I'm currently in 2 musical productions. I'm in Legally Blonde with Carlton, and I'm in The Prom with Suzart. So stay tuned for the tickets. Those are happening like February and March time. Cool. Some more. Just look out. I post a lot of things on my social media, Miss Mcleod or Miss_Mcleod on Instagram. And I post a lot of performance announcements there and everything. But yeah.
Yeah. So stay tuned. More music on the way from Miss Mcleod. Just again for the people, where can they find you on social media? Maybe where can they stream your music or whatever?
So I'm at MISS_MCLEOD on Instagram, and then everywhere else it's just Miss Mcleod. So MISSMCLEOD. Spotify, Apple Music, SoundCloud, YouTube Music, Deezer. Shoot, like even the illegal streaming websites. Come on now. Personally, me, I don't like to pay for things like Adobe, but we won't talk about that so I don't get sued.
Nice. That's great. And yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming to the studio.
No,
thank you for
thank you.
sitting down and having this conversation. It's great. You know, I see a lot of good things in the future for you and your music and all that kind of stuff. So again,
thank
you know, thank you for taking the time out of your day to do this.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you for having me too, bro.
No worries.
Thank you.
No worries. Again, guys, that was the Miss Mcleod interview. That's Miss Mcleod. Peace, y'all.
Peace, y'all. Hey.